Alrighty, fellas, what it do, baby? How we doing? We got a Monday up in here, heading back from the gym. Wanted to come on. I wanted to talk about quitting. I'm just gonna get right to it because quitting is an option for you. It's an option for me. I experienced it this weekend. This weekend, I took some time. It was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Took some time to detach from social media. And for those of you, specifically Instagram, for those of you guys who follow me on Instagram, you know every single day I'm showing up, I'm going through my morning routine, I'm trying to drop as much value as I can, show you guys, talk to you guys how I actually do things, how I structure my day, why I eat a certain way, why I work out a certain way, how I develop my mind, how I develop my relationship with God. Try to bring as much value, as much wisdom that I've learned from my experience in my walk of stepping into my full potential every single day and setting my mind on that, setting my mind on becoming that man, becoming that dude, because all of us have that within us. But most of us, and I did it for the longest time, is we settle down to the average of the people around us. And when you think about the term average just means what the majority of people are doing. And if we're getting our inspiration, our motivation, if we're getting our ideas, if we're setting our dreams about what we can do with our life based on what other people are doing with their life, well, most of the time, we're not going to set anything big. We're not going to give ourselves the room to create the man, to create the life that we're fully capable of. The man that God baked into you at birth. We're not going to even realize that that's a possibility because we don't see anybody else living it out. So that's so much so why I'm doing this and why I'm here, because that was the biggest catapult for me. I looked around and I was like, I don't want to live a life like these guys. So what I started doing was I started looking for men who did inspire me, who were good fathers, who were ripped, who were self and emotionally aware, who could control their thoughts. Men who had great relationships with God, and they had good businesses, and they made good money, and they had a family, a wife. They had all of it. It wasn't just one thing. And those are the men that I started looking up to. Those are the men that I literally started studying to learn what is it that they're doing. Not that I want to be that man, but what is it that they're doing that I can implement in my own life? And so that's why I'm here. And that's what I'm doing every single day when I'm on social, is I'm showing you guys how I'm showing up. And I'm doing it to inspire you, to show you that you're capable. Because for a lot of you, there's something about our stories, there's something about where I've been or where I am now that's very similar to where you've been or where you are now. And if I can do it, then you can. So all that to say, this weekend I decided to take some time off of Instagram because I found myself at this place in my business where I was putting a lot of work in. I was showing up every day, working hard, but yet I didn't find myself seeing the results that I quite wanted to find. I didn't find myself in a place where the effort that I was putting in was creating an output that I expected. And for everything I do in life, whether it's business, whether it's my relationship with God, whether it's taking care of my body, being in the gym, every input, I have some expectation of what output could result from that input. And because of that, that's almost like a guiding North Star. Because if I go through that process of showing up, doing the work, putting in the input, putting in the input, and I don't see that result, that's an indicator that either my expectation was wrong of this is what's required to get to here, or the path that I'm taking is wrong to get to that expected output. So I found myself at this place in my business where it wasn't that I wasn't showing up. It wasn't that I wasn't doing the work, that the effort wasn't there. but something was missing. The output wasn't quite there. The impact hasn't felt like it's quite been there. The number of guys I know I'm capable and God has set me up to reach, to get into community with, to help one-on-one, it hasn't been quite there. There's been something that's missing. The engagement with my audience online on Instagram, it hasn't quite been there. And I decided to take a couple days off, 4 days off, to step out of the just doing, right? Because at some point, things may be broken. So you have to realize, you have to be able to realize when something is broken, and you have to be able to realize when to stop doing that broken thing and when to pivot, when to do something new. And that brings me to my topic of conversation, which is, what do you do when you don't see results? What do you do when you don't see results? Because there's something required to actually know these inputs aren't quite right. Like, I have had to go through the process of losing fat, building muscle, losing fat, building muscle, dieting, being in a calorie surplus, being in a calorie deficit. I've had to go through that process a couple times first, just from start to finish, to know, all right, now something isn't working. And the reason I know something isn't working is because I've done it before. I've started the process and I've finished the process. But if I never just started the process and I finished the process, if I've never done that before, it's going to be hard for me to know, is it just that I need to keep doing this for longer? And I still need to continue to change, and more work needs to be done, more time, more effort, more transformation needs to happen before I get to the results? Is it just a matter of time and effort? Or is it a matter of the inputs aren't good enough? The inputs aren't what I need to get to that output. And so when I found myself in this place this weekend where I wasn't quite where I wanted to be, and I know a lot of you are in that similar place where you're not as close to God as you want to be, where you know you're making some progress with dropping the bad habits, but like you're still going out, having 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, sometimes getting drunk, sometimes blacking out on the weekend, and you don't want to be doing that. You're still getting high. All it's doing is giving you anxiety. You're still scrolling on Pornhub. You're still doom scrolling at the end of the night after a long day. You're still missing workouts. You show up some of the time. You're still eating so-so, like you eat some good meals, maybe like breakfast at home, but you know, right? You know you're not quite there. And the question becomes, what do we do now? What do we do when we feel like we're not at that 100% potential in every single area? And we have tried some things, right? You have tried some things. Most of you are here because you are trying some things. That's why you're here, because you care, because you want to figure out how to step into that full potential in every single area, not just be mediocre, not just show up at 60, 70% of your capacity every single day. That's what the rest of the world is doing. But you being here shows that you want more than that. And you should, because God created you to be capable of more than that. But what do you do when you are showing up, right? 60, 70% isn't 30, 40. To be at 60, 70%, you got to be doing something. So what do you do when you're at that point and you're not seeing results? And the first option, and what most people do, and the reason they stay average, and the reason they stay mediocre, and I'm not talking average and mediocre in comparison to anything or anyone or any standard but yourself. The only place you should have shame and guilt about showing up average and mediocre is in comparison to yourself, is in comparison to that vision that God put within you, is in comparison to who you know you could be if you just locked in and you showed up and you did everything that was required to be the man that you know you're capable of being. That's the man that we're measuring mediocre against. That's the man that we're measuring average against. In most men, which is most men who stay average and stay mediocre, what they do when they don't see results is they do what most men do. They quit. Because we live in this instant gratification culture. We live in what I like to call a microwave culture, where we expect everything right away. And a large part of it actually is not necessarily your fault. But once you become aware, it is your responsibility to not let this conditioning control you. Because we do live in a society that conditions you to instant. We have instant entertainment at our fingertips with social media. You have instant dopamine at your fingertips. You can go scroll on social media, look at some models, go on Pornhub. You can hit a vape, have it in your pocket, that physical dopamine rush. You can order weed to your house. I've done it before when I lived in California. You can order food right away. You don't have to do the work for it. Just order a Uber Eats, order a Grubhub. We're so used to getting things right away when we want them. And what this does is it conditions us to expect things without having to put in work. It conditions us to expect things, to expect results without having to show up, without having to persevere, without having to suffer, without having to sacrifice, without having to go through seasons where all it is you in your word, you in your journal, you in that quiet space in your house, you in your thoughts, you in the mirror, you in God, you in the gym, you in those boring old chicken and rice meals every single evening, you and yourself at the computer every single night after work, Saturday night, Sunday, going to church, spending the day, prepping your meals, prepping your schedule for the week. We don't expect it to be that way. So when we don't get things that way, we quit. Because we have a false expectation, we have a false reality that our potential and our dream is something that should be handed to us in a 60-second microwave cycle. And when I think about the return to being a real man, so much of that encompasses doing the work and earning what you're given. You think men back in the day when they were living in tents and teepees and making food on the fire, you think the ones who just sat around and beat one out all the time were the ones who were getting the good women who wanted to raise families, who took care of the house, the home, who made the food, who went out and foraged for berries, who nurtured the man and gave him good love when he came home after a long day of hunting? No way. It was the dogs who were up earlier than everybody else, getting out, going and grinding, going and hunting, coming home with the kill, putting their comfort to the side and putting the family first. Those were the guys who got the results, who got the woman, who got the family, who got the food, who got the payday. And you have to realize that you must become that man if you want to get everything that God has prepared for you, if you want to become what you're capable of. And you must come to a decision that when I do not see results, quitting, although I'm about to give you 3 options when you don't see results. Option number 1, quitting is not an option. You must become a man who doesn't quit. And you do that by deciding. And you've only truly decided if your actions reflect so. If your actions reflect so, then you've truly made the decision. But if you say, I'm not a quitter, I'm never going to quit, I'm going to see things through, but then you quit, you never decided. So realize you've never decided unless your actions reflect so. So first and foremost, make that decision and let your actions follow it up. Become a man who doesn't quit. And what you must understand, we'll talk about this option. Option 3 is just because I decided not to quit doesn't mean the path can't change. That doesn't even mean the end result can't change. You may think you wanted to be 170 pounds, 10% body fat. And actually, you get to 175, 180 pounds, and you're 12% body fat. And you like carrying a little bit of extra weight. You like feeling a little bit huskier, a little bit bigger in your frame. So you decide, this is the new destination. Or if your path to get absolutely ripped, you originally say you're going to go on the treadmill for your cardio, and you decide, or rather that's not getting you quite the results that you're looking for, and you decide to pivot and do, a stationary bike or something. I know that's a very simple example, but part of deciding to not quit doesn't mean you have to stick to the same path. It just means you're going to decide to see whatever it is through to completion. And that brings us to our second option, which is where most men need to stay, which is option 2 is so simple. It's just keep going. Keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over. Because now, as we think about why haven't we seen the results, like I said earlier, we have one of 2 reasons why we haven't seen the results. Either what we're doing is not the right path, the input that we're bringing to the table is not the right input to get the result, or it's just a matter of time, it's just a matter of effort, it's just a matter of work. It means you just need to keep going. And this is what most of you need. You just need to keep going. Your body transformation, after years of living the same way, it's not going to happen in 30, 60, 90 days. It's not even going to happen in 6 months. You can make massive progress even in 90 days, even in 6 months. But to get to your peak, dog, you're getting to your peak every day. You're stepping into that peak every day. You have to realize these destinations, they're not finite. That means they're not just you get there and you're done. They're infinite. You keep going. You keep getting better every day. And most of you, the reason you're not where you want to be is because you just quit too early. You just stopped. And what you need to do is you need to keep going until you get to that first goal that you've set. Because the change that's happening in the in-between, the change that's happening on your way to the result is the most important thing. This is where you're building the skills that you need to get results, to continue to get change, to continue to level up in the future, every month, every week, every year. Because you're learning to persevere. You're learning to show up even when you see nothing. You're learning to work hard. You're learning to continue to put in the effort. You're learning to say no. You're learning to deny the bad habits. You're learning to do the things you don't want to do. And all of these skill sets are built in between. All of these skill sets are built in between deciding I have a goal and actually getting to that goal. I learned the process of becoming. I learned the process of persevering. I built confidence because I told myself I was going to do something and I end up doing it no matter how long it takes. And I build all these skills, the ability to work hard, to persevere, to show up. Even when I don't see the results, I build all these skills. I build faith. I build confidence. I build trust in the vision. God gives me a vision. I learned to lean on Him. I learned to put my confidence in Him. I learned to put my trust in the vision that He's given me and just show up and do the work He's asked me to do. Not to live in fear, not to live in worry. I learned all these things by continuing. And all of these things are only worth it if you keep going until you get there. But this is where most men fall short. They quit because they don't get there soon enough. So then the sacrifice, then the worry, then the fear, then the struggle, then the saying no to going out with your friends, then the feeling insecure, then whatever it is that you're doing that you don't want to do, the lack of comfort, the late nights, the early mornings, the boring food, then none of it seems worth it because you quit too early. It's like you went out, you planted seeds, you harvested the field. You didn't harvest it, you tilled the field, right? You're taking care of the soil, you're planting the seeds, you're getting it ready. You did all that work and then you just dipped out before it came time for the harvest season. Why would that be worth it? It would not be worth it. Because you just dipped out before the results were there. And this is where most men dip. And you must realize that it's not worth dipping by going through option 2, which is set one goal and keep going until you get there. And now, once you've done that, you become stronger as a man. You develop all these qualities. You realize the lies that they're telling you, that it's so hard, or you need to go to school, or you need to have a certain degree, or you need to have certain connections or a network, or you need to have certain genetics. You realize all of those are just lies. And really, the only thing you need to do is literally just show up and keep doing the work. And only when you've gotten through option 2, only when you've done that a couple times with a couple different goals in your life, do you earn the right to consider option 3. Where option 3 is pivoting. Just like I did this weekend, just like I took some time to step away from just going, right? The reason I stepped away was to create space, to think, to reflect, to look at what's going well, what's working, but what's not, what feels out of alignment. Where am I just showing up and doing reps that aren't paying off? But I've earned that. And most men haven't, and you need to earn that first. Because otherwise, what you'll do is you'll jump to option 3 before you even do option 2. And okay, sure, you don't quit in the big picture, but what you end up doing is you end up quitting on a micro level because you don't see the results you want. So instead of just saying, all right, I'm done completely trying to lose 20 pounds, you try something new. You try the keto diet instead of the carnivore diet. You try supersets and 15 to 20 reps a workout instead of 5 to 10 reps a workout because you don't see the results when you want. When you don't see the results you want, the process gets hard. This is a reality. The process gets hard. And there's resistance because here I am. I'm not looking at the screen because I'm looking at the road. But here I am, and then where you want to get, there's this wall of resistance that you must break through. You must break through that to get to where you want to be. And when you start and you don't see results, that resistance is pushing on you. So what we can do is we can turn away from that resistance. That's what we do when we quit. We turn away from that resistance. The pressure isn't on us anymore. And by changing our approach, we're doing just that. It's not that what you're doing for work isn't going to make you the amount of money that you want to make to support a wife and a family. It's just that you haven't been doing the same thing long enough and you haven't built the skill set. So stop looking for something new. Every single time you look for a new path, it's essentially quitting on a micro level. Because that resistance starts to pile up, so I turn away. I go to find something new, and then I start over, and it's exciting, and I'm enthusiastic because it's like, okay, this diet's gonna work, this workout plan is gonna work. But then you get into it 2, 3, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, and you still see no results. You still see no results. You tell yourself you're gonna stop drinking, stop getting blackout. And you say you're only gonna go out once a week, but you still end up getting blackout. You say you're gonna hang with other friends, but you still end up getting blackout. You say you're only gonna drink beer instead of liquor, but you still end up getting blackout. So you're just like, screw it. I'm gonna actually quit for real, because all the micro pivots I made that I quit on, none of those worked either. So this must not work. There must not be a way to get to the result. There must not be a way to get to the place where I'm confident in social situations and I don't need to lean on alcohol. There must not be a way to get to the place where I don't need alcohol to be myself, where I'm confident saying no. Because I tried changing the amount of days I go out. I tried changing the crew that I hang with. I tried changing what I drink. None of it worked. And I quit on all 3 of those. So now I'm going to quit for good. And the reason this never works is because you're conditioning yourself to quit. And the reason this never works is because you haven't done process number 2, option number 2 yet. When I do option number 2, I learn what it means to keep going and not see results. And I learn what it means, and I understand that even when I don't see any results, any change, I'm able to see what's changing in me. I'm able to see that hunger is changing in me. I'm able to see my habits are changing. I'm able to see my willpower is changing. I'm able to say no more frequently. I'm able to show up more even when I don't want to. I'm able to show up even when it sucks. I'm able to sacrifice. And because I've gone through that process of doing option number 2 until I get to a result, I understand those periods will be real. I understand that there will be doubt and fear. I understand that I will question things, but I know the solution, which is to keep going. And now once I've done that, I've earned the ability to do option 3. I've earned the ability to do what I did this weekend, which is take a step back, look at the process, and ask myself, is this actually what's going to get me to where I want to be? Because I didn't take the step back after week 1 of not getting to where I want to be, or after week 2 of not getting to where I want to be, or after week 3 of not getting to where I want to be. I took a step back after giving an intentional, well thought out attempt to implement, to execute the process, the inputs that I had in mind that appeared to be the best path to where I want to go. I gave that process its full effort. I looked at the data. I looked at the results. I saw what was working, what wasn't. I didn't just quit because it got hard. I did the hard reps. I got the feedback. And because of that, I now have the awareness to say, okay, this isn't a thing of just, I need more time and I need more effort. While that is true, I will always need more of those, right? Because even if I'm pivoting, I haven't got to where I want to be. So even if I pivot to something slightly different, that slightly different thing may get me to where I want to be, but it's only going to get me to where I want to be through more time and through more effort. So I still need more of those things, but the path might look slightly different. But if I've never walked the path from A to B, I have not earned the right to reevaluate, because I don't know what it means to persevere. And this is what you must realize. And what you must realize is you need to start in one place. It starts with the body. The body is like the most robotic, fundamental aspect of ourselves. It's rudimentary. I don't even know what that word means, but it seems like it means simple, mechanical, right? It doesn't require brain power. It doesn't require thinking and ideas. You just show up and do the work. So if you haven't done anything where you feel like, when's the last time you set a goal and accomplished it? Tell me that. When's the last time you did that? And if you haven't, you need to start by setting a physical-based goal and continuing until that becomes part of who you are. Not something that you do 1 time, 2 times, 3 times for a month. Part of who you are as a man. Part of your identity. You wake up at 6 a.m. every day, Monday through Friday. Set that alarm. Continue to do it until you do that consistently, no exceptions. Maybe it's as simple as, it doesn't need to be even like losing a certain amount of weight or like getting the girlfriend or like getting the job. It can be like showing up. Showing up consistently is a goal. Maybe it's showing up consistently at the gym 3 days a week. Start there. That's the goal. Continue to persevere until that becomes part of who you are. And now you've built the foundation. You've built the skills, the hard work, the effort, the perseverance to get to that next place, to set that goal that's a little bit more difficult. You have the confidence now to tackle that one, to achieve that one, because you've already achieved the one that's right below it. So this is where we start, fellas. Number 1, option 1, you cannot consider quitting. That is not an option. Make a decision. Number 2, the path you most likely need to take is to just keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over until you get there. And only when you've done that, do you earn option number 3, which is to pivot when what you're doing, the inputs need to be tweaked because they're not exactly what you need to get to that output. Now, a lot of you may not know, what path do I actually need to do to keep going, to get there, right? I want to do the work. I want to keep going till I get there, but I don't actually know the path to take. I don't know what I need to do to get ripped. I don't know what I need to do to get jacked and stack on muscle. I don't know what I need to do to become aware of my emotions. I don't know what I need to do to control my anxiety, my stress, my anger. I don't know what I need to do to prepare for a wife. I don't know what I need to do to build a relationship with God. If that's the case, look in the description. What you can do is exactly what I do with all of my guys. They come on, we have a conversation, completely free. We sit down, we look at exactly where they are right now, where they want to be, everything that's holding them back, and we come up with that plan that they can show up and execute on. And it doesn't become a thing of, what do I need to do? It just becomes a thing of doing. And if you feel like you're not in that place, if you feel like you're only at 60, 70% of your potential, if you know there's something within you, if you know God is calling you to more, check out the description, book a free strategy session. That's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to look at where you are now, where you want to be, what's holding you back. We're going to come up with an exact game plan of what you can actually do to get to where you want to be. All you need to do is execute. So if you want to do that, click the link in the description, set up a call. I'll set you up. We'll run through it. We'll figure out what needs to be done for you to step into that full potential. You know the deal, boys. Option 1, no quitting, no quitting. Quitting is not an option. Stick to option 2. Become a beast. Become an absolute savage when it comes to setting a goal and obtaining it and not stopping until you do. And that will open up doors for you to take more feedback, for you to really look at and evaluate your inputs and see, how do I do this better? How do I optimize what I'm doing? How do I get to that place quicker? How do I get to that place with better results? But you must earn that place by setting the foundation physically, mentally, spiritually. Let's go.